Well, Tube. Today we have Terminal Man by Michael Crichton. So this, according to Michael Crichton, was his least favorite book. I have to disagree, um, but this was published April 12th, 1972. It was serialized in Playboy magazine in March, April, and May of 1972, and was made into a movie in 1974. So this sci-fi techno thriller. I went into this expecting to hate it. I did not think like I looked at the cover. I thought, okay, this is gonna be some weird sci-fi, um, Rise of the Michael Crichton's Terminator or something. However, I was completely wrong. So I don't really know who the main person is. Maybe Dr. Ross, the psychologist. But there's this man, Harry Benson, who has psychomotor epilepsy, and so when he gets his seizures or whatever, he becomes ultra violent and hurts people. And so the hospital had a came up with basically like a brain pacemaker. Anytime that you could detect a an episode coming along and give the proper areas of the brain shocks to shock the person back into reality or into a normal state. And of course, our psychologist was super against it, but these no good surgeons were just ready to cut people open. It's kind of funny reading like surgeons were terrible or horrible people. The police are just bumbling, basically a bunch of Gomer Piles. But the doctors always save the day in Michael Crichton's works. It's kind of funny. But anyway, so the surgery goes through, was a success, you could say, and they set up the wires, and they figure on what areas of the brain they want to shock to zap them out of it. And they program it into the computer. That there's a, this is like 1970s, so a big, powerful computer is the size of a school bus. Your school bus, yes, the school bus you own. Um, now it's the size of a room. It's basically an entire room. But and then the computer, shocks or controls it all and blah blah blah. But our man Harry already thought, kooky as he was, that the machines were going to take over, and so him getting these electrodes stuck in his brain made him think the machines have won. That basically they took him over, and so he goes crazy. There's a mix up with his drugs, and he's able to escape. And he goes on a rampage around town, and the police being a bunch of Gomer Piles, they can't do anything. So it's up to the doctors to hunt him down and get him recaptured. And maybe that's where I'll end it there, because I don't really want to get into spoilers and stuff. I really enjoyed this. It almost had a Michael Crichton met Thomas Harris twist to it. Thomas Harris, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal. I kind of had that feeling where, they're hunting him, but he's hunting them, and of course, Silence of the Lambs is a masterpiece. This isn't a masterpiece. However, it was a fun. Well, as fun as epilepsy and violent and killing people and stuff can be fun. This was a fun thriller that I read it in two sittings. So I mean, it's a normal, 282 pages. It's not incredibly long, but two sittings, I had this thing gobbled up. It was so much fun. The ending, in typical Michael Crichton form, sucked, but the rest of the story makes up for it. And there was a couple of lines that I thought I would read. A couple paragraphs. So one's 124. I just found interesting. There's also a philosophical problem. Gödel's question mark theorem that no system could explain itself and no machine could understand its own workings. At most, Gerhard believed that a human brain might, after years of work, decipher a frog's brain, but a human brain could never decipher itself in the same detail. For that, you would need a superhuman brain. Gerhard thought that someday a computer would be developed that could untangle the billions of cells and the hundreds of billions of interconnections in the human brain. Then at last, man would have the information that he wanted, but man wouldn't have done the work. Another order of intelligence would have done it, and man would not know, of course, how the computer worked. So I thought that was cool. I don't know how. This is 50-year-old technology we're talking about here, so I have no idea. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not even going to pretend like I know anything about brains um, or the science around it. So maybe we have unlocked the brains. Maybe we haven't. I don't know. But I thought it was interesting. Kind of like a catch-22, you know. We might be able to create a computer algorithm that maps the brain, but then we would never understand how the supercomputer could do it, or maybe the quantum computer did it. And this was another kind of interesting paragraph. The truth was that everybody's mind was controlled, and everybody was glad for it. The most powerful mind controllers in the world were parents, and they did the most damage. Theorists usually forgot that nobody was born prejudiced, neurotic, or hung up. Those traits required a helping hand. Of course, parents intentionally damage their children. They merely calculated attitudes that they felt would be important and useful to their children. Newborn children were little computers waiting to be programmed, and they would learn whatever they were taught, from bad grammar to bad attitudes. Like computers, they were undiscriminating. They had no way to differentiate between good ideas and bad ones. The analogy was quite exact. Many people had remarked on the childishness and the literalness of computers. For example, if you could instruct a computer to put on your shoes and socks, the computer would certainly reply that socks cannot be fitted over shoes. The all important programming was finished by the age of 7. Racial attitudes, sexual attitudes, ethical attitudes, religious attitudes, national attitudes, the gyroscope was set, and the children let loose to spin off on their predetermined courses. Mind control. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thought. But yeah, being a parent, the only thing I can hope for is that I don't screw up my kids so badly that I hope I do more good than harm, But you gotta be careful what you say or what you say and do around them, because they are like little sponges. They soak up everything that's around them. So, um, yeah. So Terminal Man. Not my favorite is Crichton Error, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I put up there at least with Congo. Congo's a lot of fun. And I'm not good with science fiction, so I have no idea. This being 51 years old, it might be so outdated that it's laughable and cringy and everything. But as someone who doesn't read science fiction, I thought it was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. So, The Terminal Man by Michael Crichton. Have you read it? What I get right? What I get wrong? What do you think of it? I suggest this is actually, I would say this is actually a pretty good spot to start with Michael Crichton. Um, I think you couldn't. I mean, you couldn't do worse, or you could do worse than starting here. But I think it's fun. So that's it for this one, peeps. Cheers.